Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane. I am Lisa Conger, your lay leader, and I'm not alone up here even though it looks like that. But this morning Todd is going to be in the Zoom session, so you will see him at least anyway. This is a special morning where we celebrate our partnership with the Felsoracos Church. And I think it's 33 years, if I'm correct, 33 years that we've been partners. The Unitarian Church joins together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in the wider world. Or in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Welcome to each and every one of you. We embrace all that you bring with you this morning, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are welcome. This is true of those who are here in person, those who are joining us for the first time, as well as the many of you who are live streaming or present with us on Zoom. We always like to give our Zoom participants a chance to say hello. Stephen Palmer is today's Zoom host. How are you, Stephen?
Oh, very fine. And we wanted to give John Smith an opportunity to say a few words about the experience that he has had with his church in Vancouver with regard to their partnership program. John, would you just say a few words?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone, from the Unitarian Church of Vancouver. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our partner church program. And for over 30 years, we've been partnered with the Second Unitarian Congregation of Brașov, Romania. However, today I'd like to talk about our newer partnership of about 3 years, the Fraternité Unitarienne Universaliste de Rutana, or in English, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Rutana, Burundi. And Burundi in Central Africa is by just about any economic measure the poorest country on earth. The gross national per capita income is about $270. So just imagine trying to live on 75 cents a day. And by contrast, the US's GNI is about $64,000. I'd like to give one example of our communication with them. They speak Kigali and French. Well, language is no problem because quite a few of us are fluent French speakers. The main issue is how we listen, what we say, and how we say it. So one example of what not to do. If we're giving financial support, we'd never say, hey, we notice you don't have a chalice in your sanctuary. We're going to send you a really fancy one. Just maybe that's the last thing they want. However, in Burundi, it's a good idea to make those in power, Europeans of yesteryear, current governments, and foreigners with money, make them happy. So they say yes, and we go away with a good feeling, and we can't imagine their frustration. So to engage, we need to, with them gently, determine what they would like. And I'd like to give one example. After much dialogue, we found that one barrier to young women's education is the fact that they have a period once a month. So women all over the world have that. The difference in Burundi is menstruation pads generally don't exist. And if they do, they're probably imported, and to buy one costs maybe 1 or 2 weeks' salary. So we say, well, what we don't do is go to our local drugstore, buy a few hundred boxes of pads, and send them off. What we do is ask them, what do we do? What do you want us to do? So what happened was actually beyond my comprehension. We sent money for sewing machines, and they have a local source of fabric. So several women from the congregation were trained on the sewing machines. They sewed menstruation kits and sold them to the the locals in the city. And several women in the congregation, as I say, were trained, and the congregation gets an income a little bit, and the women get a little extra money because they sew garments for the local population. And they sent us a picture of their setup. Seven gleaming new sewing machines, all with the treadle. Well, I haven't seen one of those ever, I don't think, but they don't have a source of electricity that's reliable. So in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought that this would be their solution, and it wouldn't have been if we hadn't listened at every step to find out how they do things, not how we think they should be done. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. So please take a few moments now to greet one another and connect. Be sure and say hello to someone you haven't met yet. Thank you. We'll have more time to greet one another over coffee and tea after the service. And today we have some special Hungarian desserts to share. So it will be a very festive social hour. We now turn from our informal greeting of one another to formally begin our service by lighting our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the symbol of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world, and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost. I'm just going to take a deep breath. Our opening words are from Matthew Rosen. You may find his rhythm reminiscent of Dr. Seuss, but he has a profound message. You matter. There is no one like you, never will be again, from the birth of the earth to its outermost end. You, an eager shout, a sacred yes that moves your flesh, your bone, your breath. You, she, he, ze, they, you are whole and okay, gracefully teaching your truth and your way. You cannot be forgotten. We cherish you so. Your voice and your hands can do more than you know. You see old things anew. You turn them and test them. Your wonder exhausts our old words to express them. You speak and lay bare all you dig up and hold, aloft from the dust of conventions grown old. You upend every rock and pursue every glimmer and give a new name to each sparkle and shimmer. You chart out new paths, go beyond our horizons, new friendships, new stories, your hope always rising. You welcome and wanted wherever you are. You are welcome and wanted, whatever your skin, wherever the neighborhood you were born in. You play across fences that keep us divided. Old walls become weak where your love is ignited. You call us to kindness and questions, reminding the life of our living is found in the finding. You, there is no one like you, never will be again, from the birth of the earth to its outermost end. You matter, you do, we'll keep learning with you. Now stand on our shoulders, see what you can do.
Our first singing song together for the morning is Come Sing a Song With Me. We took this song over to our partner church to share it with them, and so this is one that they know too. Please rise as you're willing and able.
Thank you. Each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our minds and hearts, and we want to wrap in our love and care. We kindle light this morning for all those suffering in the war between Russia and the Ukraine, for those who have suffered in the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here in our hearts this morning. You are welcome to say their names aloud as you are willing. Those named aloud and those remembered in the silence, and all those who are suffering elsewhere in our world this hour, we hold in our community of compassion. This month's special collection is on behalf of our partner church in Felsoracos, Romania, which we have partnered for 33 years. Any funds collected will be given to their women's group so that they can attend conferences in Romania, give food packages to folks in need, and other projects. The youth group will also receive funds for conferences, projects, and helping with the summer camp for the local children. We might also donate to the Ukrainian Refugee Relief Fund, supported by the Transylvanian Unitarian Church. If you wish to contribute, please use the special collection envelope in your order of service. No need to lick them as we use them again. Thank you in advance for your generosity. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission in the wider world.
Right, such a treat to hear from the choir this morning. Before I share our Time for All Ages, I wanted to let you know this family movie night that was scheduled for March 10th has actually been postponed to April 14th. So note the change. For this morning's Time for All Ages, I'm in a traditional dress that is on loan from Julie Jose to read an adaptation of a traditional folktale from the region. Long ago and far away, there once was an emperor with 3 daughters. He gathered them into his throne room one day and asked, "How much do you love me?" The oldest 2 fell dramatically to their knees and told them they loved him more than anything else in the whole world. But the youngest daughter replied, "I love you like salt in a meal." This was very puzzling to the emperor, threatening even. He didn't know what she meant by saying she loved him like salt in a meal, but he assumed it meant she loved him much less than her sisters loved him. So he banished her from his castle. Fortunately, the youngest daughter found refuge at the palace of a neighboring emperor who was kind enough to give her a job as a kitchen maid. There she became known as a quiet, careful, and gifted cook. A few months into her new position, her father was a guest at a banquet there. The daughter made an arrangement with the head cook so that she would cook only for her father. Of course, the father didn't know she had become a kitchen maid, and the emperor hosting this banquet didn't know that his kitchen maid was the daughter of his esteemed guest. All the guests enjoyed their food and praised the head cook, only the kitchen maid's father had to deal with food cooked with sugar instead of salt. Again, he was rather puzzled. "Excuse me," he quietly nudged the person next to him, "but does your food taste off?" "Not at all," the man replied. "I think it must be your taste buds that are off." The father asked a few other people, his confusion growing by the minute, until eventually his daughter stepped out from the kitchen and into the banquet hall. At the sight of his daughter, the father's eyes welled with tears, and he realized how foolish he had been in banishing her for some words he didn't understand. "Father," she spoke cautiously, "do you now see that when I said I loved you like salt in a meal, it meant my love for you is pure, essential, practical? Without our love for each other, life is just off." He smiled and ran to embrace her. They asked for each other's forgiveness, and everyone at the banquet laughed and went on their merry way.
Now is the time in our service for meditation, so please find a comfortable, receptive posture. Close your eyes if you wish, and take some deep breaths while I lead you into the silence with this quote from Ursula Le Guin. "Love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like bread, remade all the time, made new." Thank you so much. The choir is just beautiful this morning.
And they want to watch the video too.
So now we have the pleasure of watching a recent interview Reverend Todd had with Reverend Elud Zozbo, a district dean of the Hungarian Unitarian Church. Please enjoy learning about some of the interesting similarities and differences between Eastern European and North American Unitarianism.
Here today with Reverend Elad Zabo, who is joining us all the way from at least close to our partner church in Felshorokos near Transylvania. So Reverend Elad, would you actually tell us where are you coming from today? Where are you zooming from?
I greet you all. God bless you. Isten áldjon. I live in Ürmös, and I serve as a minister in the Ürmös Unitarian congregation, which is 4 miles maybe away from Felshorokos, very close. And I also served for, I think a year in Felshorokos after he retired.
Okay, after Reverend Joseph retired. Wow, I think I remember that little interim period that you served. So, well, it's great to meet you. Maybe someday we'll have an opportunity to meet in person. So tell me a little bit about yourself as well. In addition to being the minister of your congregation, your title is dean. What are you the dean of?
The Unitarian Church in Transylvania, or the Hungarian Unitarian Church as we call it today, has 7 districts, 6 in Transylvania, which is part of Romania, and the 7th district is in Hungary. And the largest district as a population is our district in the southeast of Transylvania. And the dean is the ministerial leader, the clerical leader of the district. We have a lay leader, or 2 lay leaders, in fact, lay presidents of the district, and I am the clerical leader of the district. The district is made of 19 congregations, 19 churches.
Wow, that's quite a lot. Okay, so help us understand a little bit, maybe the structure of Unitarianism in your region of the world. Here in the United States, Unitarianism emerged somewhat independently of Eastern European Unitarianism. And of course, we were separated by decades of the Cold War. So we're sort of initiating, or maybe initiating, relationships, or at least we have been since the 1980s. But Unitarianism is a bit different in the United States than it is in Eastern Europe. Our structure is each local congregation is free and autonomous from authority outside of the church. And at the same time, we have an association that helps keep us connected. We call it the Unitarian Universalist Association. So tell us a little bit about the structure of Unitarianism in Transylvania and the rest of Eastern Europe.
Unitarianism in Transylvania, so the Unitarianism we live in Transylvania was born in the times of the Reformation, and probably one of the biggest differences between our structure and your structure is that our Unitarian Church was never independent of the political world or the state itself. Beginning with the 16th century, everything was interconnected. The political, the rulers of the country, all the crazy things of the 20th century, everything was mixed, and it's the same today. So the ministers, for example, in Transylvania, Unitarian ministers in Transylvania, we are partly paid by the state, by the Romanian government. And this was always the case. So the political power always helped or always supported the church, but of course it always had a shadow on the church too, because if they were the patrons, they were those who supported the churches and the ministers, then you had some duties towards the state, towards the government. The structure itself is theoretically democratic. We call it a Presbyterian structure that says that the decisions come from the top of the structure, and those who are on the lower stages have to obey. We say that the decisions come from the lower structures, from the congregations, from the people. So the people elect their minister, elect their leaders, and they send their representatives to the synod or the larger meetings, where they elect the dean, for example, in the district, or even the bishop of the Unitarian Church. But at the same time, in comparison with your association, our association or our central structure is more important, or is very important in the life of the congregations, because it is a link between the congregations and the government, and even today we have two governments we speak about, because the Romanian government supports us and also the Hungarian government supports us. So the central structure is very, very important.
Wow, wonderful. I appreciate both the history and the lesson on your structure. Really made that clear for us. So how is Unitarianism received today, and how is it doing today in your part of the world?
We always say that so Unitarians are very few in numbers. If we compare to the population of the state, there was a census in 2022 in Romania, and it seems that the results say that there are around 19 million people in the country, and of these 19 millions, around 50,000 are Unitarians, if we are optimistic. So the percentage is very low, but the importance or the focus of or our presence in the society is much stronger than these numbers. So we are seen in the Christian world, in the Christian movements. We are seen in the Hungarian language movements. We are present. We are asked. We are invited. We are important, original religion, and it is very important for us. And not to mention that the founding of our church is the same, is on the same date than the religious freedom, which was proclaimed in 1568. We say that it was the first proclamation as a law in a state in the world. And these two things, that this is a Transylvanian original product as a religion, and the importance of religious freedom, make us more important than we are as a number. And of course our presence, for example, our schools, we have two high schools, Unitarian high schools in Transylvania, one in Kolozsvár and one in Székelykeresztúr, and the one in Kolozsvár is, if I'm not wrong, the best high school, Hungarian language high school in the country. And we also have a very good social caring system or presence in our society. So we are heard and we are seen in the society here.
All right. So you're a powerful mustard seed.
Yes, we can say like that. I even had a conversation a few years ago with a Roman Catholic colleague, a priest, and he asked me, he was very honest, and he asked me, how can I think that Unitarianism is a true religion, or is the true religion, if you are so few as numbers? So how can you think that it's good then? And I said that Jesus had 12 disciples. They were only 13, and they changed the world. So it's not about the numbers.
Very good, very good. So what are some of the major obstacles and issues that you're dealing with these days, or Unitarianism?
Yes, as I talked a few minutes ago, I heard myself, and I said that I'm too optimistic. Of course, we have big issues and big obstacles. One of these obstacles is something that is very specific to not only to our community but the whole country. The fact that people are leaving the country. The population is getting older. Young folks and especially educated or motivated families leave the country because of the corruption, because of the slow rhythm of the reforms. Youth are going away from the country. Not only Hungarians, not only Unitarians. So the census was. So the numbers of the census are lying in a way, because a few millions of that 19 million people are in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in whole Western Europe. They still have something at home, a house, a property, but they are more than 1 foot already in Western Europe. And if people are leaving, the first community who is suffering the more is the community that is small in numbers, because we feel it even more. So that's a big issue, and we ask ourselves what we can do. Of course, there is nothing to do with such a powerful process in the society, but we still try to do things. For example, we were always proud that we don't do mission. We don't try to convince people to come in our communities. We don't do that because that was some kind of a taboo. But we speak about opening our doors and making the Unitarian values more easy to learn about, to show the world how valuable are these things that we preach or we do in the Unitarian communities, and maybe that would bring in new faces, new people in our communities. I know that congregations in the US, UU congregations, are very dynamic in their membership. So people come, people go. There is no Sunday when there are no new faces. But these things are much more rigid here in Transylvania. So we hear lots of people say, well, Unitarianism is a wonderful religion. I think I can accept the things that it says, but my parents, my grandparents, and I cannot change my religion. How should I put it? There is a negative thing about changing religion. I mean, why isn't the religion in which you were brought up good for you? What do you want? So it's a whole different thing here than in the United States or even in Western Europe. And of course, with the numbers falling, when we get fewer and fewer members, then that fact brings lots of other questions and issues. Financial things. We also feel that there are fewer people in church. we feel powerless, and we always say how powerful we were 30 years ago or 50 years ago, but that's because we are fewer and fewer. For example, probably it's the same in Felsőrákos, but in my congregation I know that at least 70 or 80 people of the 500 that we have in our congregation are not based, they don't live here. So they live in the city 20 miles away, or even further away over the borders in Western Europe somewhere. They still belong to our congregation, but they are not here, and the chances that they will come home after their kids are in school in Switzerland or Germany are very, very low. So this is a challenge for us. How can we still make them feel that they belong here, even if they are far away? For example, COVID brought a positive thing, a positive step in this way, because we had to broadcast our sermons, and we found out that many people who left for Western Europe, they want to watch the sermon, they want to watch the worship service. And we kept that going, the broadcasting of the worship services.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and there's some similarities and differences there. You're right. I mean, in the U.S., religion is often treated like a buffet. You know, we can just go and pick what we want and leave any time if we get disgusted. And there's much more of a deeper historical connection to community and family. Personal identity in your part of the world. Unitarianism is almost an ethnicity for some folks, you know, that there be whole villages that are Unitarian. So that's a big difference. But I think a similar problem for communities around the world right now is this migration away from the smaller communities into larger cities. So that's something we're facing too. And truthfully, Unitarianism in the United States has long been a religion that has grown by adults choosing to become Unitarians later in life. Most of our children, sadly, leave the church, and we don't see them unless it's later in life and they decide to come back. So, just a little bit of a difference and a similarity. I'm wondering, you know, another problem that we're all facing around the world right now, of course, is the consequences of the horrible war of Russia against Ukraine. You're obviously closer to that. How is that impacting you? Is it impacting your community? And are you needing to find yourself responding in any particular way around refugees or any other issues?
Not as a small community like Ürmös or Felsőrákos, but the church itself, the central structure is dealing with things like that. We have refugees in one of the high schools. We also have a small group of elementary school, I think, in Kolozsvár for refugees. There are a few families, and there are permanent help going to the Ukraine from the things that are gathered from our Unitarian communities and congregations. But people are worried. People are afraid sometimes about the proximity of the things that happen. So what struck me about this war was that people said that, wow, there is war, but in fact there were wars permanently in the world. I think since forever. But the thing that the war is so close to us, and that's something that's worse even than the prices that got higher and higher for energy and basic food. I think that this feeling of the closeness of the war is very hard on people and on communities. And the other very interesting thing that we so I personally sometimes have to deal with is the confusion people make about this war, and so people sometimes think that people forgot the 50 years of communism and the Russian influence, which they they lived in that system. And they suffered, and the property of their parents and their families were taken away by that Soviet system. And now they say that the Russians are right. So they have the right to go there because the Western powers and the USA have provoked them, I'm very so I think sometimes how could people forget in a few years, in a few decades, what happened in the years of communism, and how in 1956 Hungary tried to break from the USSR, from the Soviet bloc, and they were dramatically blocked. And almost the same thing happens in Ukraine. We say that well, they deserve it, that's not a real country, Putin is right, and it's so difficult to understand, or even people whom I love, who are part of my congregation, think stupid things like this, and that's another challenge, to open the people's eyes, which is very difficult to make them see what happens.
Yeah. Sounds very difficult, stressful on many levels, particularly as a minister, where you need to minister in those circumstances. Here in the U.S., I think for liberals like myself, when we see so much support for an authoritarian candidate like Donald Trump, it's very similar. You know, it's people we know, it's people we love. Can't understand how these good people that are in our lives can see things so differently than some of us do. But I feel that anxiety, and I just imagine it must be 1,000 times worse being in such close proximity to it. So we're thinking of you. We light a candle every Sunday on behalf of the people of Ukraine and those that are being most impacted by the violence there. And so please know that we're including you in that candle, you and your community and your country.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So tell us about our friends in Felshorokos. They're in between ministers right now, but they're otherwise doing well.
Yes, they are doing well because maybe you know, so you must know because you visited them and they visited you. They have a few very strong lay leaders, and that's very important. So even if there is no minister, or there is no permanent minister now, they knew how to deal with this period, and they so when the previous minister left in June 2022, then the lay leaders said that they don't want to have any involvement in the finding of the new minister. The bishop should send someone who he wants. But then after 6 months, when the bishop he couldn't do that. I mean, he couldn't find anyone. They still had to go and find someone, and they found someone. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'm going to say it because probably until March it's going to be a done deal. So the big thing is that the new minister will be a woman, and that's a big step for them. I know it's not a big, it doesn't sound too revolutionary for you, but it is for not for Transylvania, because we have female ministers since the early 1990s. But Felshorokos is a very traditional community, and sometimes they said that they don't want women as ministers, and now they have probably they will have a woman minister, and they are very enthusiastic about her coming, and I guess they are going to get along very well, because that has happened in many communities. At first people were very careful about the women ministers, and then it turned out to be a great prize, because well, I don't want to say that women ministers are better than male ministers, but they are at least on the same level, because why shouldn't they be?
Right. Oh, that's wonderful news. Thanks for giving us that little tidbit of information before it's officially released. That'll be great to know. Well, listen, I know we've been talking a while, and like I say, I want to be able to show this during our service. So it's been almost a half hour already. So I'm going to give you the last word, and then I'll stop recording as soon as you say you're done. So I'll let you give some final words to our congregations if you would like.
I am speaking to you now, but also to the Felső-Rákos people, the Unitarians in Felső-Rákos. You have to value a lot your partnership surviving these years, this last decade. It's very important, and you have to take care of this partnership. I know, and maybe we should talk more about this. I know that there are big differences in our views. I know that our Christianity is sometimes too much for you, and your liberalism is sometimes too much for us, but that doesn't mean that we can't be brothers, that we can't be partners in Felső-Rákos or on Zoom like this today. So I encourage you to take care and cherish this relationship. And thank you for your support.
We do have a final song today, of course. It is number 159, This Is My Song. And if you will rise as you're willing and able, we will sing it together. 159. Intro at the end.
The
Our benediction this morning is adapted from an Andre Moll piece called Blessing. When we gather, may we remember that when you share with me what is important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I act against hatred, violence, injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May it be so. Amen, blessed be, salam aleikum, and shalom.
Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom.
So we wish her the best.
Julie, can you do that again? Can you say it again? Yeah.
Oh, I know, I was trying to yell. Okay, the new minister started today, and there will be some photographs of the congregation.
I just muted the congregation conversation so that we could start our coffee hour.
Right, I understand. This is unplanned.
If everyone would like to unmute themselves so we can discuss, and what I would like to suggest is perhaps Reverend Todd has a few words regarding the interview, the very interesting interview that he had, and
Sorry,
and
folks.
Then
New minister started today.
We can start our discussion, ask some questions.
think we did. I think we did, and that was good. It's not out, it's the choir, it was a big endeavor. Just didn't put enough time into it, yeah, in the beginning, yeah.
And I've been meaning to say I love your haircut.
Thank you.
And the first time I saw you after you had it cut, you were sitting here like, perfect. I was to watch it on Zoom.
Oh, well, you know, when I look back on my pictures, I never wore it down because I couldn't see anything. So I also couldn't, so you didn't know really that, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Are you playing for the Spectrum Singers?
I am playing for the Spectrum Singers. They're doing a concert April 29th. Oh. And they're doing a really fun fundraiser April 1st down at 9.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll try to advertise.
If you can give that to me, I'll put it up on the senior page.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. Yes, I'll be both. They doubled in size. You know, well, before COVID, they were about 80.
Yeah.
And then we came back and we lost, scattered away and stuff. So we had maybe on every day 30. So we're almost back to 60.
That's
So
fabulous.
it's a big sound. They hired John Zay, the whole set of and he moved, and now we have Amy Porter. She's a professor at psychology. She's taking a senior college there. So, yeah, all of them. And they insist on trying to contact us. Like they lost Tim. I have this associated from the boys that take it as gardening. We started out with a nice song with very good board, and then there was some personality conflicts, and now we have a very static record. When people are stepping in there, they're saying it, but they don't know what it is. And so it's my own sanity and I'm teaching you this is something to see it. I was taking over my life.
Yeah.
But the intent is good, and the picture that we take was, you know, I think it's an important message to the rest of society that, you know, we can take all different types. And it's a time. So, Bobby Kaiser, the president, he actually went back to Scotland. We found a couple of us. And those are the certificate